So you guys been wanting me to change the theme song sound quality, but I'm gonna keep the same song. So here we go. This girl reviews movies, games, and books. Just how she plays them, and she does that. She does it with the cat. Does that make her crazy? Does that make her crazy? Probably. Hopefully that fixed the audio. Crazy Cat does not own any of these pictures or books or pictures. I use them under fair use for educational purposes, so the people who watch them learn a little bit something when they do it. Hopefully that fixed the audio. I only did all those years ago. No, I don't want to do this. I'm scared of this thing. Please move it. Hi everybody, Martha here. So, I know I'm a couple months late, but you know me, I usually like to wait till the horror movies are at home. Unless they're like Friday Nights or Freddy's, then I'll go and give it a chance. I decided to watch Final Destination's Bloodline, finally. I know Tony Todd did die right after that one, so I could have watched this first one, but I didn't really. I think I did his just a news video instead. So I did like this. This movie was fine. I did see a lot. This movie was had a lot of comedy in it. Really, I would count because I know one of the prediction deaths. One was literally a piano falling on top of somebody. Like what? What I'm watching Looney Tunes or something. So yeah, there'll be spoilers in this episode for how happens in here. So the movie starts off with, like usually it does, with the prediction, but the character having predictions. Since this one has to do with what if the person who survived had a family that they had afterwards. As the movie starts like in the 60s or thanks to maybe the 50s, it's hard to tell. But because I never heard of them making a building that tall before. They have supersized skyscrapers, but this one was more like a restaurant and a bar up in the sky. And I would definitely want to go up there, because who'd want to be on a building that's made of glass? Sounds way too scary. And whose parents was this kid? We did not ever see the kid that that started the whole thing, basically, because he would not stop like stealing money from a fountain and throwing a penny off of a high building. It's his fault. Like, yes, you should never want this to happen. Should never want a kid to die. But if they're misbehaving, either they need to, at least that kid need to be grounded. But yeah, but they gave him like the most funniest death out there. Death by piano. Like I said, definitely a Looney Tunes movie. Oh no. Looney Tunes kind of thing to do. And so yeah, we're following the grandma of the main character in here, who's Stephanie. Then the grandma's name is Iris, and she is pregnant with. She has to have twins, because it says that Howard's born first, then afterwards, then Diana. So either she had them at different time periods, because since she warns them and makes sure everybody survives. As far as I know, she survives, Paul survives, and the little boy, the little black boy, BJ survives, who grows up to be Tony Todd's character, who passed away right after this movie came out. So the one scene they kind of give that actor, because usually he's only in like one part of the movie, his scene was pretty good because he's the one who usually warns them and helps keep them alive in every single movie. He usually is the one that tells them how to cheat death, and he ends up being one who's cheated death. And I know there's like a big, since he's been in most of the movies except for like I think in the third one he was just like a voice of a creature. And I think in the other ones he's been most of them. So a lot of people think he is death, or he is like an agent of death, because the way since he knew how to cheat it. But I think it's way more ominous if death doesn't have a face in my eyes. Like the Grim Reaper should not have a face separated from the skull, or neither should Xanatos if you like Greek mythology. And that's how I think about it. And it makes because like death can be anywhere if it doesn't have a face. So after she sees basically the building falls in, and Iris and at the very end of the death and DJ are the ones that die at the end of the premonition. And Stephanie ends up waking up while she's in she also sleeps in class because I guess she is flunking because she's been having this dream for the past 2 months, it says. And she's flunking, and she wants to go home and find out who her grandma is, who I guess she's never met, and wanted to find out more about her. But I guess her uncle and her mom not really were always distant with her, because she was always like trying to warn them to be more careful between lives, since she also saw this vision herself, and she ends up living. Stephanie is paranoid because she ends up going over there and seeing Iris after she gets a note from her aunt telling her where not to look, but she actually looks in the cupboard and talks to her grandma, and she ends up getting killed after she tells her that she had the same exact premonition right before it happened, but she doesn't get the premonition until right when she's about to, right when her fiance, because then she does get proposed. She's supposed to get proposed right here. Paul is supposed to propose to her, and she's gonna tell him that she's pregnant. She's been pregnant for 2 months now, and I like the fact that BJ's mom that actually right there actually tries to like help her get even though what happened later on, I guess, but helps her get the courage to tell her husband that she's pregnant, to tell her fiance that she was pregnant. So make it look like even BJ's mom was insincere. And really, they should have left right before then, because they were kicked out of the restaurant because they were not. He was asking one of his friends who got let go. We didn't know he got let go. I guess it's trying a way of saying get out of there while you can. So Stephanie goes to meet her grandma, and she's getting killed by one of those wind welder things. Really, I didn't think that place was that protective, because there's too many pokey things outside. I don't get why there was even that many pokey things outside. I understand the fence, but all the pokey things, seriously, like she was asking for to die, because it was not that. I think Claire was the one that mostly did the best thing. She turned her in, and the second one, she turned herself into a sacrifice treatment. So I would say Claire's the one who did the best out of all of them, the ones who are trying to survive. I've only seen the first Final Destination and the second one. I think I've seen the third one, but I've not seen the fourth and the fifth. I know, but to me, since these are done with different people every single time, it's not really necessary to see them in order. So I didn't. It was okay that I skipped those two. Besides, I heard the fourth one sucks. So after she sees her grandma died right in front of her, they have a funeral for her, of course, and then at the barbecue, what they have, like to since everybody's now together, including the mom, who I guess left because since she was afraid that she was to do the same exact thing that her mom did to her and try to like warn them of this and everything like that. So she ended up leaving when Stephanie was 10, and she came back for the funeral. But then Howard ends up dying at the barbecue, because if you see the trailers, you know that the two ones they show in the trailers was the barbecue and the tattoo / piercing Pollard, which was technically not a death, because you find out that he survives because he was not part of the bloodline, because the aunt had an affair, so Eric was not the firstborn. It was Jenny after Howard. So Howard ends up getting stepping on a freaking rake of walls, having a rake like fall down, and there's a glass that went inside a bunch of people's because Bobby ends up like breaking a glass, a cup, and then it went inside where they get ice and they pour water or alcohol or whatever into, and so but nobody drank the glass, but instead Howard ends up stepping on it and falling. After he steps on a rake, he falls down on the lawnmower, ends up hitting him. But right when she gets there, she tries to warn them not to do stuff, and it's too late. Howard dies, and they still don't believe her. And Eric ends up going to the tattoo parlor and doing tattoos. He gives himself a tattoo saying "Dad," which sounds very. Ow! Do you ever had a tattoo and give it to yourself? That sounds really hurts. And then he ends up a nose pierce right here on his nose, and it hooks up and it actually winds up in the hands of the fan. Now I thought since that part actually happened, we did not see him get out until and he ends up coming out and like basically saying that being a jerk, and like as Iris is trying to be a good cousin and warning her cousin not to do stuff, and he just does the exact opposite. She tells him not to go near a truck, a dumpster truck. He goes nears it. Instead, her other cousin Jenny says, "I don't want to do with you," and she ends up being the way she actually predicts. Because watch out of the leaf blower guy blowing the soccer ball onto like players, and the soccer ball kicks in the head, and he goes into the trash can, and Jenny, poor dies, getting kicked by being trapped inside of a dumpster truck. And the guy was listening to music, not paying attention in the least. The guy was driving the dumpster truck. So yeah. And then right when that happens, then they start to believe her. It takes 3 deaths for them to believe her. 3. I think after at least Howard's, they would believe her. But not... Why did they wait until Jenny's? So yeah. I think this family was a little bit dumb. Because they didn't know Iris, because Iris wasn't there for them. So it makes sense. For Iris, they would not believe her. But for Howard, since they actually knew the guy, they should have. And this is when they decided to look in the book. They see BJ, and they go to the hospital, and then this is when they meet. Because you remember he worked at morgue. And he's in this. I guess in this movie, is if you are brought back to life, that skips you. But if you don't, it's messy. So, and the last word he says to these guys is good luck. But he said he has cancer. So he's gonna die anyway. Sounds like, just like Iris did have cancer. So even if she did not get hit by that windmill, she would have died anyway. So yep. Then we have Bobby, since he's technically next in line. Eric tries to since he has like a peanut allergy, so they give him Reese's. He ends up having, they're like inside a room where I think a CAT scanner, I think it's called, where you're not allowed to have no metal near it, and somehow it got turned on by itself. And so, yep. Since even though Eric's not supposed to be on the line, because we found out that Howard's not his dad, because his mom had an affair, so he's not on the list. But since he tries to save his brother, save the person he was raised with as a brother, because he didn't find out he was not his his half brother until right after his dad died. So yeah, and he grew up thinking that that's his brother, that's his full brother. So yeah, so he's trying to make sure he survived, but since he was involved trying to save him, that's messy. So it took him along with him, even though he was not part of it. And now as Stephanie, Stephanie's little brother, and Diana are the ones who are left to die here. And so they try to go to Iris's cabin, but like I said, I don't think Iris's cabin was very protective. And it turns out I was right, because the fire starts over there when they drive over there. And they do show, if you see in the second one's the highway one, right? Where the one where the desk is a log. And we've seen the logs at least 3 times in this movie so far, and the fact that Steph ends up being killed by one was weird. It was because the way that the movie ends is with a train being derailed, and there's a bunch of logs, and they both fall on her and her little brother. So what? And Diana ends up falling down from a skyline, falling on top of her. So yeah. So Steffi drowns, and her brother ends up reviving her because he just got done doing being a lifeguard school, so he knew how to do CPR. But apparently, since her heart did not stop, he did not bring her back to life. So yeah, but I just thought, so really 2 of the deaths was funny, and since the kid that started on her thinking of prediction with the penny dies by piano, and these guys died by a geo-rope train that would not stop chasing them. Jeez. I'm probably gonna give this one 7.5. So yeah, I do if I probably did watch the first one again, I probably would say it's a lot better than this one. But yeah. So I'll see you guys later. Favorite, subscribe, and yep, Tony Todd, we miss you, buddy. See you guys later. Bye bye.